adored the Andersons as if she had known them her whole life. "You don't look so good," Rose said, her words slurring slightly. Poor thing was such a lightweight when it came to alcohol. Annie forced a laugh. "Thank you, Rose, for your brutal honesty." "What do you mean?" "You're wrinkling your brow? I was under the impression internet stars didn't wrinkle anything." It was true. As a social media influencer and brand promoter, Annie spent hours of every day cultivating her social media image, editing out flyaways, smoothing any lines at the corners of her eyes or patches of cellulite on her slender frame, so she could land brand deals and promote the hottest nail polish or clothing brand of the minute. It was exhausting and, apparently, useless under the astute gaze of a close friend. Finally, taking a sip of her champagne, she tried not to think of the throngs of cameras stationed in the corners of the room. Reporters from as far as Europe were documenting the night, not just for Luke and Harper's sentimental value, but also because, well, with Annie's career as an influencer and her brother's place at the top of the tech world, the pair of them were something like celebrities, digital-age darlings, and no one was going to miss this wedding. If things had gone according to plan, she wouldn't have minded the photographers. Despite the fact that Luke had serious issues with the press, Annie reveled in the spotlight. There was something nice about being looked at and admired from a comfortable distance. Cameras brought people close enough to look, but not close enough to actually see. But there was a downside to internet fame, and now, with the laundry list of wedding mistakes burned into her mind, she couldn't help but think about how every photograph would be nitpicked by the faceless trolls online, about how they might turn the happiest night of her brother's life into something to be dissected and ridiculed. She made a mental note to turn off notifications on her social media apps before going to bed tonight. The last thing she needed was to be hungover and have to deal with internet mobs making fun of her mistakes. "Seriously? What's going on with you? You're in the middle of the most beautiful wedding this county's ever seen, and you look like someone put mud in your shoes." Annie sighed and tossed her blonde hair over her shoulder with one manicured hand. "The most beautiful wedding? I can name about 50 things that went wrong today. That's my brother and Harper up there. I wanted everything to be perfect." "Oh, Annie, I don't think perfect matters much. At least not tonight. I mean, look at them. Have you ever seen two people looking happier?" Annie dragged her gaze to the couple twirling in the center of the room, her brother and her new sister. They held each other as though letting go would mean the end of the world, and they laughed as though they wouldn't care if it did, not so long as they had each other. For so long, she'd rooted for the two of them to get together, fought for it even. But now, as she looked at them, her joy couldn't seem to make the journey from her mind to her heart. Luke was married now, and for the first time in her entire life, she and her brother would be apart. He'd been her entire family for most of her life, her best friend, and the person she counted on above everyone else. Now, she would be alone. Alone. That word echoed, bouncing back to her again and again and again. Alone, alone, alone. Rose had the kindness not to mention Annie's mental distance and to change the subject. "So, what are you going to do with all your newfound freedom? No more wedding to plan, no more brother to look after? I have decided I'll be turning Harper's bedroom into a crafting room. I'm finishing up moving into my new house first thing in the morning, and after that, Her own blood chilled as she realized she didn't have an ending to that sentence. For the first time in her entire life, Annie Martin didn't have a full calendar ahead of her. Not a single thing to look forward to. Not a single thing to distract her from that word. Alone. Suddenly, it all made